Good morning. How are you this chilly morning? Good meditating weather. I heard that, I read somewhere that part of the reason why there's so many good meditators in Tibet was the beautiful, cool weather, clear light, and of course the snowy mountains. So we have the cool weather today. That helps. So I hope you're well and managing. Today is a bit more liberal. We can do a bit more visiting. So hopefully we're on the upward part of the curve. The curve meaning coming out of restrictions. So just to start off, we'll do our normal breathing meditation. But quote of the day, we usually start with some words of wisdom from one of the teachers. So this is from Lama Yeshe. So he's talking about the mind of wisdom. So remember that the wisdom part of the teachings is really relating to emptiness. Excuse me, I'm just going to have a sip of water. The emptiness teachings relating to how things exist, how we exist, how the self exists, and nothing exists independently from its own side. So Lama Yeshe says this, true wisdom enables one to integrate all the many diverse experiences of life into a meaningful and coherent whole, thereby banishing fear and insecurity completely. Dharma is the view of the wisdom mind. It's what wisdom sees. At certain times, a silent mind is very important. But silent doesn't mean closed. The silent mind is an alert, awakened mind, a mind seeking the nature of reality. Let your obsessed sense perception rest for a while and allow your silent mind to surface. What we're going to do now, breath meditation. Then ask your question. If you have a question about life, about something going on in your life, you'll find that the answer to your question will appear spontaneously from within the peace and restless mind. A mind with understanding functions clearly. A clear mind is a positive mind. So let's work on getting that mind clear and still by doing our breath awareness meditation. So last week we did some variations on the breath. We did awareness of sound. After we'd settled on the breath, we moved to sound, and then I think we moved to consciousness, activities of the mind. So today we'll do something similar, but we'll move from the breath to the stillness that Lama Yeshe is talking about. If the mind is, we can feel the stillness, the thoughts subsiding, the busyness of the mind calming, so that there are less thoughts and there's more space. One option is to just partly let go of the breath, or fully let go of the breath and rest in that still mind. And it's as if you're looking at the breath from the side, from the stillness. We're just letting go the breath fully and just looking at it from the side. And if there's any tension coming into the mind, any uneasiness, we can go back to the breath. Sometimes the analogy is like when you're learning how to swim and you're holding onto the ladder or the float, the buoyancy, the floaty, and then you let go and you're swimming in the open space of the water. The ladder is always there, the breath is always there to go back to. But if we don't need the ladder, we can just enjoy that spacious stillness, just floating in the stillness of the mind. So we'll introduce that possibility after we spent, say, 5 or 10 minutes on the breath. So, so get comfortable and we'll begin. So we're just now coming into our internal world, letting go of the busy outside world, nor the busy thoughts. Becoming aware of what's happening in our body and our mind. We usually start with our motivation, our outlook, just directing our mind positively by, first of all, appreciating this opportunity to sit for an hour together and take care of our mind, put our mind into order, be kind to our mind. Let's make the most of it by doing the practices with our full attention. Also just checking that we're not just doing the practice for our own benefit, bearing in mind that our state of mind will affect others. If we have a calm, open mind, this will benefit those around us and also benefit our progress in our meditation along the path, the Buddhist path. So now coming into the body, just scanning the body. Are we evenly balanced on the chair or the floor? The shoulders relaxed. Remember the eyes. If they're open, you're just gazing gently, just a body length in front of you. Checking the muscles around the face and the eyes, very fine muscles. Feeling our seat is stable, firm, comfortable, balanced. Surrendering to gravity. So to help with surrendering to gravity, we can focus on the out-breath to begin with, and with each out-breath, feeling we're just letting go. Any holding on, any muscle tension, breathing it out. Muscle tension, breathing it out. Nothing to hold on to. Breathing out not just our physical holding on, but all our obstacles to meditation, all our busyness, all those thoughts. With each out breath, we relax more deeply, let go more deeply. And then gradually giving more attention to the breath, the movement of the body with the breath. Standing aside and just watching the breath. How it ends the breath. How it enters and leaves the body. We can focus various points of the body for the mindfulness of the breath. We can focus on the whole body, gently moving with each breath. Focus on the abdomen, rising and falling, up and down. You can focus on the nostrils, where we can feel the sensation of the cool air entering the body and the warm air leaving the body. And when we find that comfortable position, the breath, the nostrils, the abdomen, the whole body, we just rest our mind there, putting down the heavy load of all the busy thoughts, relaxing our mind on the breath, coming home to the breath. So to track whether we're still on the breath, we use alertness, sometimes called introspection, to monitor the mind, oversee, check what's happening. Are we on the breath? when we find we've actually been distracted by a thought, a sound, you just notice it. Just a thought, just a sound. Let it go, release, return to the breath. So relax, don't worry, just a thought. Release the thought, return to the breath. Relax, return to the breath. Great patience, great mindfulness. Following the breath all the way. Breath, a long breath, even breath, uneven. The qualities of the breath become clear. Each breath slightly different. We only need to focus on this one breath, the now breath. Thoughts may come and go, but as we focus on the breath, we allow the thoughts to just evaporate. The mind becomes more still, just leaving the breath on its own. So we can now just notice that stillness around the breath, the peaceful stillness of the silent mind, the quiet mind. And partly, or perhaps just watch the breath from the side, as part the mind on the breath. It's like out of the side of our mind, watching the breath. The rest in the stillness, the quietness. If there's any unsteadiness in the mind, just come back to the breath, home to the breath. So just technically, if there's any cutting out or difficulty seeing or hearing, if you could just say something at the bottom there, so we're just aware of any problems that are happening. It looks like from this end that things are all right. The lights are flashing as they should be. So, but if there is a problem, let me know. Or any questions or any comments, let me know too. So, second practice, do an analytical meditation. And I thought we'd do one we don't do very often on the 12 elements, sorry, the 6 elements. 6 elements of the body. And it's actually a practice to help us understand the teachings on emptiness, the fact that there is no independent solid self to hold on to, that we're actually composed of these many different aggregates, they call them technically, but a collection of physical and mental parts, really. That's what the aggregates are. Physical and non-physical parts. So this practice is said to be very good to help let go of the idea of a solid self, a concrete conception of me that doesn't exist, like something that's permanent, unchanging, which is very instinctive, inborn, and actually there in different forms right up until we become enlightened. We finally become liberated and then enlightened. We actually understand this, the way the self exists, only by implication, by name, as a concept. So just to help get there, very slow process, to become enlightened, of course, can take one lifetime or many lifetimes, depending on our speed along the path, how we progress. So, what are the 6 elements? So, when we think of the aggregates in the West, we probably think of all the parts of the body, the atoms, all things. But the Tibetan Buddhists and probably all types of Buddhism say that actually our composition, what we're made up of, is earth, water, fire, wind or air, space and consciousness, the 6 elements. So those first 5, earth, water, fire, wind and space, are physical, and the last one, consciousness, is non-physical. So in this practice we just focus on each of the elements one by one. That is part of our body and also part of the outside world. We know that the earth is our bones and blood and physical solid parts of the body. It's the earth element. Outside we can see it as the ground, the buildings, the solid parts, anything that's got weight. And then we think of the connection, how this physical part of the earth in our body is related to the outer part. And it's, in that particular example, it's the food we eat. We take in the earth element in the form of food, digest it, burn it up, and then excrete what we don't need back to the earth. So this idea of this helps to break down any concept that we are sort of separate from the outside elements. So it helps us to realize that there's this connectivity between our physical body and the outside world. Well, if we do that with each of the elements, of course, the moment when we actually leave the body at the time of death, these elements are going to dissolve back. The earth will dissolve back to the earth. Water element will dry up. Fire element, our warmth will diminish. So this is also really good practice for getting ready for the time of death. And when we'll definitely have to leave the body. So after we deal with each element, and we ask ourselves at the end of each element, earth, water, fire, can we actually say, this is me? Is there anything in the earth, water, fire element, etc., that is inherently me, different from the outside earth, water, fire element? So we look carefully, we just analyse that. If there's anything that can hold on to, say this is mine. And if we look, we find there's nothing that we can hold on to. So this is my part of the earth element. This is my part of the earth. This is connectivity and change happening all the time till we get to the mind element, the consciousness element. So this is our ability to think, experience, and we can see how quickly things are changing in our mental consciousness, the stream of thoughts flying past, sensations, memories, concepts. So this is to help us realize that there is nothing physical in the non-physical consciousness that, again, that we can hold on to and say, this is mine. This is independent, not caused. Everything is dependent, changing, not caused. Everything is dependent, changing, including the consciousness. So hopefully this will help us to just let go to some extent of any tendency we have to grasp at some physical self or some mental self that's independent. Everything's dependent, and everything's interconnected with the world around us. Okay, so let's start. Let's begin now with a few moments on the breath again. Just feeling that calmness coming back, the stillness, the focused mind, receptive mind. Silent mind that Ramesh talked about. The external earth element. We'll start with the internal earth element. Internal earth element. It has the quality of solidity, resistance. Thinking of our body as solid. Getting a feel of the earth element in our body, the solid part of the body. Feeling the gravity acting on the solid part of our body, weight of the body. That's the internal part of the earth element, the outer part of the earth element. We can see it in the objects, the walls of the room, the ground, the mountains, the vastness of the earth. The man-made things in the external earth element, buildings, machines, continents, the natural part of the earth element. Now think of the connectivity of our internal earth element and the external. How do we connect? Those two we connect by food we eat. In the moment we're born, we connect by food we eat. In the moment we were born, we've been consuming food, our mother's milk, solid foods. Food grown in the earth, nurtured by the water, the sun. But we ingest the food. The outer elements join with our inner earth element. Burning the food into energy. Excreting what we don't need back to the earth. Form of waste, sweat, nails, skin, hair. Feeling that connectivity between our inner earth element and outer earth element. Is there anything that we can say is 100% mine of the earth element? At the time of death, we have to give up the body, return our earth element of the body back to the earth. Next is the water element. Water element has the quality of being flowing, liquid, wet. Our internal water element is the blood. It's in the saliva, the sweat, the mucus, the urine, the lymph in the body. Most of the body is water. So that water element internally is an experience that we can feel. The outer water element we can see in the form of rain, tap water, oceans, of course, is by consuming the water. Taking in the liquids and digesting them, breathing them out, the breath, sweating out the water element. Excreting waste, urine. Feeling the cycle of the water element from the outer water element into the inner water element, a connectivity, connection. Breaking down that sense of the inner water element being set, move to the fire element, the heat of the body, energy. Experience this internally as our heat of the body, the warmth of the body. The energy of the body that gives us the ability to move physically. The electrical energy that fires up the nervous system. The heat of the body that digests the food in metabolism. creates warmth energy for the body. Externally, the fire element is ultimately from the sun, also from the heat of the volcanoes of the earth, lightning, burning fuels, renewable and non-renewable fuels, energy, in the outer fire element. And now the connectivity of our inner fire element and outer. We radiate heat back into the external world, body heat. We generate from our metabolism, powering the body, generating warmth. We radiate it back into the external world. We feel the warmth of the heater, warmth from the sun, filling our body with warmth. Feeling that in connectivity of the fire element between internal and external. Nothing we can find in the fire element is our own, something we can hold on to, saying this is mine. Now coming to the air or wind element. Internally we feel it when we breathe in, taking in the air, filling the lungs, oxygen, the breezes. Finally, the final physical element is space, the cavities in the body, in the chest, the abdomen, the lungs, the nasal passages, space around the cells of the body, space between the atoms of the body, between the subatomic parts. Most of our body is space. The external space element, the distance between objects, distance between planets, galaxies, at the micro level, within atoms, molecules, subatomic particles, all space. Mostly space. Feeling that connectivity between our space in the body and the space in the external world. Nothing in the internal space is exclusively mine. That interrelatedness between space, internally and externally. So these are the 5 physical elements of the body: earth, water, fire, wind, and space. Fire, the earth, the internal elements of 5 elements, constantly interchanging with the outer 5 elements, physical elements, the outer world. Nothing which is mine. Nothing we can say is me. That connectivity. Now coming to the consciousness, the sixth element, non-physical. The mind, consciousness, our ability to think, non-material. What we experience when we meditate. We see the thoughts flashing by, the feelings, the images, concepts, emotions and memories. The consciousness element, non-physical, constantly changing. We experience the senses, the five senses. We experience the non-sensory part of our mental consciousness, the concepts. The thoughts have no beginning. Each moment of consciousness caused by the previous moment, without beginning. This current mind caused by previous moment. This morning's mind caused by the sleeping mind. The dreaming mind caused by previous day's mind. Previous week's mind. Previous year's mind. And the previous life's mind. Constant flow of consciousness without beginning or end. This moment of mind will cause the next moment of life. Leaving this body and passing to the next life, the subtle consciousness. In this mind, this life, passing to the next life. Feeling that connectivity of mind, constant change of mind, nothing that is inherently mine, unchanging, nothing independent, everything dependent on causes and conditions. That is the conclusion of this practice on the six elements. All the five elements, earth, water, wind, fire, space, and the non-physical element of consciousness, all constantly changing. Nothing inherently independent, all subject to causes and conditions, all dependent on causes and conditions, like ourselves, like the me, the I. Feel that. The emptiness of the mind, emptiness of inherent existence. The I exists, but merely labeled by our concepts. Feeling the loosening of our holding on to self from before the meditation to now, a slight loosening, a letting go, less holding on to a sense of self, seeing the connectivity of the physical aggregates, consciousness aggregates, the dependent cause and effect nature. Now we can dedicate any positive imprints we've made on our minds, any merit in this practice from today's session, and all the sessions we've done in the past, will do in the future, and all the merits we've collected, the past, present, and future, towards our understanding of the nature of I, self, understanding of emptiness, of reality, obtaining the wisdom, realizing emptiness, ultimate goal, and then becoming liberated from samsara, psychic existence. And just reading Lama Zopa's dedication for this time of the coronavirus, his dedication, just reading that. Due to the merits of the 3 times collected by me, or the number of sentient Buddhas and the number of sentient beings, may all the wars, sickness, famine, torture, poverty, and economic problems in the world, or dangers of earth, water, fire, and wind be pacified immediately. May perfect peace and happiness prevail in everyone's hearts and lives. May the Buddha Dharma last for a long time, and may sentient beings in this world meet the Buddha Dharma and achieve enlightenment as quickly as possible. Dedicating to that. And with that, we'll end the session. Thanks for being there. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful week.